Hey gang, David Gupple, Thinker Farmer here. So in this video I'm going to continue telling my farm story. I left off at the end of spring of 2017 telling you how I had really overrun my headlights and learned some important lessons, or was in the process of learning the limitations I had as an individual and how important rest was in order to improve both as an individual, on a farm, and also in a business. And anyway, in this next episode, you'll see that it took me more than a few hard knocks to learn just how important rest and refreshment was. And you'll really see as I tell my story that the reason I'm still farming is not because I'm smart by any means. It's just I have wanted it so badly. I've had to get knocked in the same place several times before I finally learned a lesson. And anyway, after the spring season, really wet and rainy, things started to dry out. Late summer, well, really it took until about the fall, really for things to start drying out. And summer, I sold chickens all summer long. Really had a better overall season than the previous year. I was just seeing as the more I worked on my business, yes, there were ups and downs, but I was fine-tuning. I was learning how to handle weather patterns in Louisiana. I was learning how to meet customers' needs by listening to them. And the business was definitely moving forward, and I could see it in just looking at my bank account, that I wasn't throwing out as much money as previously. And but I was still very busy, and I remember the first week of October 2017, I probably put in over 100 hours that week. The weather had just gotten right, so we were making hay and pretty much all week, and I had chickens to process that week, first of the fall batches. And of course I still had some birds and parts in the freezer. That was how I was meeting customers' needs on a weekly basis, which is important for any business. My mechanic job was suffering, and I had told my boss, I said, I need most of this week off. And Superwrench, I mentioned him in a previous video. He was a cheerleader of mine. He loved that I wanted to farm, and I wanted to go out there and be an American, start your own business, be an entrepreneur, and do something positive. And he was fine with me taking the time off, but I was able to come in one day that week, and that was Monday, and it was the opening day of deer season. And before I get into telling my deer hunting story, or pseudo story, I want to impress on you the value of Superwrench as a friend, and I'll share more on him in a video in my series Hometown Mentors. But Superwrench was he was one of those guys that reminds you of the song You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story. He enjoyed me as a person. He was honest, he was genuine, he was open to share thoughts and advice and encouragement. And I selected the creek for this video. This is one of the creeks on Greg's farm. Beautiful. I mean, I wish I'd come here for an afternoon and read a book, and I may do that anyway. Even though things stay pretty busy. And I say that, we take time, and that's been a blessing at Greg Judy's farm, is more than any other place I've been at, there's been more time to think, to reflect, and to rest. And that's really positive and really important as an individual and as a farmer and as a business to just incorporate all of the different aspects. You need to work hard, but you also need to rest. It all goes hand in hand. Well, when I had my processing plant shut down, and I was just dejected and frustrated, Superwrench and I ended up going on a trip to his hunting camp, and we went to a creek bottom, and we just ended up wading around in the creek, having a good time, discussing different things about life. And we hung out together, did some cooking up at the camp, just hung out, two guys together. He was a lot older than me. He was in his mid to late 50s at the time. I was, 21, 22 years old. Well, he was really my best friend. And anyway, back to 2017, early October, really busy, hectic week. Superwrench, Monday I go to work for him, and I was there to work, and Superwrench knew it, but it was the first day of hunting season, and his son had gone up for the weekend. Superwrench had stayed because he needed to work and man the shop, and he wanted to go track a deer with his son, and he said, David, it was about noon, lunchtime. He said, David, the work can wait. I know the rest of your week is going to be busy, but would you come up with me? It was an hour and a half, 2 hours away. Would you come up with me? We'll track the deer. We'll have a good time. You can come back tomorrow and go back to your regular work. And I was hesitant because I had so much work going on. I was too busy about things that, I needed to do them. I needed to be there to do hay. I needed to be there to process chickens. And so I felt overwhelmed, but I knew that I could manage the time. Superwrench had been a really good friend to me. And so I went ahead and said, yes, I'll go ahead. Let's go up and let's track the deer. And in my mind, I said, I really can't think of any other reason to go than Superwrench is a good friend, and I'm going to go with him because my mind said I have too many things I need to do. Well, on the way up there, I was driving. Superwrench started having flashes where he couldn't see clearly, and then he started seeing double, having double vision. And we stopped at a. I remember how it happened. He couldn't see clearly. I said, well, you haven't eaten all day, Superwrench. Let me stop and get you a burger and some fries at a local place. And by now we were an hour down the road, and he was trying to call his doctor to figure out why he was having flashes. I went in, got him a burger and fries, came back out 10 minutes later. He was still on the phone. When I handed him his burger and fries, he looked at it and said, David, why do you have 4 hands, and why did you get me 2 burgers? Well, he was seeing double, and in another 20, 30 seconds, he went into an epileptic seizure, and he started jerking around uncontrollably, incoherent, his eyes closed. He couldn't talk to me. He spilled his burger and his fries everywhere in his new truck. And I got on the phone with his nurse, and she said, you need to get him to St. Elizabeth Hospital. And that hospital was over an hour away. And I said, well, that's an hour away. And she said, well, you just need to rush him to the emergency. And I didn't know exactly where we were, and I ended up typing it in on Google Maps, and an emergency room, the nearest hospital was literally 600 feet. It was right around the corner. I was calm as I could, big old truck, 8-foot bed. I backed it out of this small little burger joint full of cars, zoomed around to the hospital, and shouted to a couple of ER people, and we got him some help, and they got him stabilized. And I'm going to go ahead and finish telling the story about what happened to Superwrench in a later video, but the lesson I learned here was what I'm going to call the value of divine appointments. And I do believe in God, and this channel is primarily not about Christianity or the gospel or my faith, but it is going to come up because it's a part of who I am. And I think it's really important, and I have to share it with you all. But divine appointments. Sometimes things don't make sense, but you have a gut feeling or a hunch that you need to be somewhere at a particular time. This was one of those times, and what drove me to make the decision to, my friend had a seizure. What if he had gone ahead? Sometimes we ask the what ifs. What if I had not gone with my friend Superwrench, and I had stayed behind, gone back to my busy work farming lifestyle? He would have gone to his hunting camp. He would have had a seizure on the way there, driving his truck, and he probably would have had an accident and potentially died. The fact that I was able to slow down, pace myself, and not very well at it, clearly, because my brain was thinking about all the things I could be doing instead of focusing on what I had there. But a lot of life and farming is just about being in the right place at the right time. We move animals. There's a specific time we want them to hit the grass. We want to make sure it's fully recovered. We don't want the grass to grow to senescence. And in nature and in life and in your farm business, you need to know the timing of different things so that you're in the right place at the right time. And sometimes it won't make a big difference. Other times it can mean everything in the world. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Blessings for the journey, gang, and always remember when you need to be where. Blessings. Take care.